The shirt, you slim fit it and make it very tight, and the trousers, you will need somebody to help you pull it. When you wear it, it was just skin tight.
So there was this song I actually sang when I knew my father-in-law was coming. Oh my God, my father-in-law is coming. My father-in-law is coming. So this is my father-in-law, guys, and his son is behind the camera. And today I just want him to feel free and share some life experience with us, because he is someone that have seen the world in a different way, and I definitely know he's going to have his perspective, and we can learn from him, for people growing like myself, and I'm sure you guys will learn a thing or two from this. So Dad, please, can you introduce yourself?
Oh, thank you very much. Consider this as a very great opportunity to be able to say one or two things. My name is Oladira Jerome Ayodele. I hail from Ondo City. We call it Ondo City now, in the western part of Nigeria. And I come from the family of Ogundikpe. Ogundikpe happened to be a very big family, and a great one at that. They were warrior. And anytime you hear Ogun and all that, I was talking about the idol of iron or so. In those days, he was even a chief. My great-grandfather was a chief, Chief Wabie. He has so many sons, but my own father, Baba Johnson Ayodele Ogundipe, was going to be with the Lord in the last, about 10 years or so ago. He was 101 before he died. One of the things that we notice is that in my family, there is a history of longevity. People don't die too early. So we thank God for that. But as I was saying, Chief Wabie Ogundipe, Arapasowu, Ọmọ Yeja, Ọmọ Yemaja Logun, Oboke Díẹ̀ Ṣóògùn. That's why he said eulogy that usually sung after him, and it was a very great family. And one thing that is known about that family, it's a little bit difficult for me to say it, because people will come up to say that what do you expect him to say? But all the same, I have to say that was a man of very great integrity. Very great integrity. In fact, my father told me a story of what happened many years ago. He went out for hunting, and he met somebody who was mistakenly shot by another hunter. And the hunter escaped and went away, and this man was really in pain, about to die. And my grandfather had to carry him to the village. And everybody concluded that he was the one who shot him. After all, there were no forensic method of investigating anything at that time. But they just put two and two together. If he was a hunter and this other person is hurt, bullet wound on him, and the man was bleeding profusely and was going to die very shortly. But as the people in the village gathered around him, even though he was not able to talk for a long period, from the period he carried him on his shoulder back to the village, when it was maybe 1 or 2 minutes for him to die, he opened his mouth and said, "This man helped me. He was not the one who killed me." That was what made my grandfather to escape the noose, the gallows, so to speak. And so that's an example of his integrity. And that's just about the background of my family.
So back to when you were 30, how was it like fashion, music, arts, and culture?
Well, what was in vogue at that time, that was in the 70s. Actually, I had a very rough beginning. I cannot say I am singled out for rough beginning. That was the general situation at that time, living in the village, no hope, no drive, no dream, no nothing. But all the time that I was in that village, my eyes were everywhere, elsewhere. I kept dreaming that this place is not for me. And in those days, it was very, very common for people to go fetish. In fact, you almost believe that there is nobody who, because there was no Christianity anyway, it's only. But I made up my mind that I was not going to have anything to do with it. And that by the time I am a particular age, most of the things that I desire, I will have it. Talking about a radio and all that, those were the things at that time. And so I left the village, I went to school. The school didn't work out because my parents were poor, they were not able to pay the fee. And eventually, out of anger, I joined the army. That was in 1967, early 67. And so, I joined the army at the age of 18. I haven't left school when I couldn't proceed. There was no money to pay my school. So in anger, I joined the army. It wasn't that I had any plan. I just heard that in Barracks Road, they were recruiting people. Meanwhile, they were trying to conscript people to get army to go and fight the Biafran War. And I went with one of my family, very close family members. Incidentally, that man died during the war. So I went and I was there. It was at that period that I spent, I think, by the time I was 30, I had already left the army. Because I spent 14 years in the army and I left. The period you're asking of now, when I was 30.
Yeah.
Okay. And at that time, what was common, what was in vogue in terms of fashion was, first of all, we had this kind of dress that we wore that was like bandage in our body. The shirt, you slim fit it and make it very tight, and the trousers, you will need somebody to help you pull it when you wear it. It was just skin tight. And later on, we start having what they call James Brown style. You sew the trouser, the down part of it will be big. Call it labu. And then
okay, that's what we call boot cuts now or something. Boot cuts, we call it boot cuts now.
Well, I don't know what it is called now, but the whole thing will be wide like the mouth of a woman's skirt. And then there was a particular shoe that was in vogue at that time. We call it benga.
Wow.
It will be very high. We wear it, and then high heel shoe. I mean for boys.
Wow.
So those were the things that were in vogue. For the ladies, that was the time where they were having a buba that is very short. A very, very short buba.
Wow.
And there was no question of going to salon to make artificial hair. No. People will just plait their hair.
What about music? Music.
Okay, music that was in vogue at that time, apart from our Nigerian music, which was like Ebenezer Obey, Ike Dairo, King Sonny Ade, and those people, and upcoming musicians were very many at that time who was springing up. But the type of success that attend the way of a musician today was not like that at that time. They were just struggling. Although they were far ahead of other people who are not into music business, they were a little rich, but you can't compare them with what we're having today, like David Adeleke and all the rest of them.
Yeah.
Outside the shore of Nigeria, we had the reggae music, Bob Marley and some other South American singers. Those were the ones that were common at that time. And then in Europe, we used to have, in the Americas, we have Jackson 5.
Wow, yeah.
In the UK, we used to have Elvis Presley. We have some other. We have the Beatles.
Oh, the Beatles.
Those were the musicians that were in vogue at that time.
Wow.
It's not that we have a way of using this music, apart from those who sell record, and they will play it and will gather there in the evening. It's not that we have access to it in any form. Only those who are very, very rich could buy the record player with the needle. My father used to have one. He ordered it many years ago. We call it gramophone. Those were the things that were there. But by the time I was that 30, we started having all these things. This music box were coming up in different form. We have tape recorder, we have and all that. So those were the things that then we'll go to party. I was not used to that because coming from the village, it was only the army that exposed me. In the village, we don't go to party. We don't. Even when we come from the village once in a year, 2 times in a year, we look at town boys as special people. We see what they do. We cannot join them because in any case, we don't even have what will make us so fit into them. We don't have shoes. We don't have anything. So we look at them as a king and princess and all that.
Wow. What age did you join the army and what made you join? You've answered the question.
Okay, yes, at the age of 18.
What were you fighting for? That you made you join military, and was it justifiable?
It's an unfortunate situation. It's like when you find people who are demonstrating either in Nigeria or Europe, or many of the people, if you ask them, what are you demonstrating about, what are you, many of them don't even know. So also in our own case, government has this kind of clout of authority over the citizen. When they said they wanted people to go into the army, for people who had some knowledge and who has stable family, who had means of livelihood, they didn't venture to go into it. So it was we who is considered as not having anything. Like I said, in my own case, I went out of frustration because having been sent out of school on many occasions, I attended a modern school, St. James's Grammar modern school in Ondo. That's around Likwakala area there. But every time they are doing field drive, I will be one of the first to be called out, and I have not paid my fee. Eventually, I struggled. When admission was open in St. Joseph and all the other schools, I didn't have the opportunity. At that time, they were publishing things, and I wrote to one school, Ifeolu Grammar School in Oshobo, and there I was given admission, and I went there. My mother sold her things, she borrowed money, gave me the first one to go and pay the deposit, and after a few months, maybe 1 or 2 months I spent there, the money expired, and they had to drive me from the school. Then I came back to Ondo. I looked at the whole thing. I loved education. I wanted to go to school, and there was no opportunity. And so when they said people are joining army, I just went. So I'm saying that I didn't join the army because of any policy that something that I know. I just joined, and then the war that the government was fighting, I was not even wise enough to understand why I only know that we're going to fight the Igbos. And the Igbos felt that they have been terribly injured, particularly after the 1966 coup. So that was what led Ojukwu to declare going to have Biafra and work.